So, on today's show, we have a special guest. I'm interviewing my mentor, Tiffany Mosby, and she's going to be talking a little bit more about the day to day life of a realtor. So, I hope you got your popcorn. I hope you're here to learn. And maybe you want to be a realtor. Maybe you want to find out more about the business and what goes on in the background. Well, you're going to find out a little more today. So, tune in. Appreciate you click and play. Let's check it out. All right. Thank y'all for joining the page. Today we have a special guest, my mentor, Tiffany Mosby. We're just going to be asking her a couple questions. She's been in the industry for a little while, longer than I have, and she'll be able to give us some insight on what it's like to be a real estate agent, a realtor, day-to-day professional. So yeah, go ahead, Tiffany. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll get started here.
So I am Tiffany Mosby. I live in Suffolk, Virginia, but I work all of Hampton Roads, Virginia. It's like 7 major cities and quite a few outlying cities as well.
Okay. You been enjoying this area? Do you feel like you're going to be here for a while?
I have mixed feelings about this area, honestly, just because I'm a Florida girl. And when we got stationed up here 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it was always a goal to get orders back to Georgia or Florida. And those orders never came up. So I was a little salty for, I don't know, the first 10 years
Mm-hmm.
living in Virginia. I was like, no, Virginia is not home to me. Florida is home. Maybe Georgia could be home. But it did grow on me
So
very secretly. So I do like the area a lot. It has a lot to give, and each city is really unique, and that's what I like most about it.
I bet it's better on your hair than Florida, right?
Oh my gosh, so much, especially, yes, the humidity. There's a lot of things that are very similar to Florida. We do get a lot of humidity up here, but of course, it's nothing compared to
Nothing like
down
Florida.
there. Yeah, after the first 6 months of adjusting here, my hair was like, oh, what is this? We can lay straight for longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look like it could lay straight right now, but it could.
Okay. Okay. So I didn't know that. Florida girl. Okay. I'll remember that now. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your experience in real estate, the industry.
Yeah. So I started in 2015 with a CRM company. It was a mom and pops kind of industry
Hmm.
or like situation. And so when I started with them, I started on the sales side and I was selling our product to agents
Mm.
and having like hour-long demos for each time. And the follow-up was very similar to what we do in real estate.
Hmm.
Um, Almost to the line of cold calling. So I can say that I have cold called
Hmm.
not buyers and sellers, but agents during that time frame. And then when I got pregnant with our youngest, I told my boss it would be kind of challenging to do an hour-long demo with a newborn because I can't
Mm.
rely on her being quiet for
Yeah.
an hour straight. So that's when we started the support division of that company, and I led that. And my role also evolved into all types of crazy things from coaching and mentoring to data mapping,
Mm.
MLS information for our CRM and our integrations. So lots of things, but that's where I got started. Ultimately, it wasn't the greatest fit, but I didn't want to walk away from so much real estate knowledge and the sphere that I had built
Hmm.
with my clients, all of the agents across the world, really. Um, so the only other thing I could do was actually just get licensed myself. So I did
Become an
that
agent.
officially March 2021.
You said you sold products. Is that the CRM program that you
Is
was
the
dealing?
the CRM program because we had the CRM, we also had a website, we had a
Hmm.
dialer, we
Okay.
had data services. So we had it was a decently robust system at the time.
So you're used to serving agents, pretty much. You know the game when it comes to serving agents, which is
Yes.
probably why you went into mentoring, right? And you
Yeah,
wanted to be a mentor and things like that.
exactly. Exactly. Because when my sponsor brought me over, Tom Martin, he's like, hey, I want you to get licensed. And I said, okay, but I don't want to sell houses. I just want to work with agents.
Yeah.
It brings me so much joy. And it also gives me pride when I'm able to help an agent build their business or increase it.
Hmm.
And because sometimes it could be the simplest tip or strategy that could just make an agent's business explode.
Mm.
And seeing the joy and excitement on their face, seeing the payoff for them really does bring me so much joy. That's what fills me up. And so when I did get licensed and I was talking to agents, they honestly didn't give me much respect. They're like, you haven't even sold a single home yet.
Ah.
Why should we respect you? Why should we join you? Why should we listen to you? What do you have to teach me? It
Mm.
didn't matter that I had been coaching agents and brokers for years.
Yeah.
In our industry, it's what are your stats
Yeah.
first and foremost.
So you have to kind of
Um,
earn your stripes, right? You have to
I
earn.
did.
Yep. Okay.
I did. And in the process of doing so, I figured out I actually am really good at selling
Pretty
homes
good.
and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So I was like, okay, it's not the end of the world.
All right. So that kind of brings us to our next question. So how long have you been working as a real estate agent?
Oh, I will say I baby footed the first 6 months of being licensed.
Okay.
I love to learn. I'm a sponge. And so I did take my time. I was a secret agent, what they call the secret agent, where some people knew I was an agent,
Yeah.
most did not. And I would only mention it in passing
Mm.
and I would never bring it up again. And then I realized I couldn't build a successful business that way. And it was
Mm.
time to stop being scared and to actually act on the things that I was learning.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say I'm in my third year now, but I really feel as though I've only been doing it full time for about two, like just at that 2 year mark.
So would you say you're a little bit of a perfectionist? Like you want to make sure that you have it all right before you present yourself as I'm the expert, right?
Yeah, I didn't ever think of it as being a
Uh-huh.
perfectionist. I just wanted to do things the right way or
Mm.
my way.
Hmm.
Sometimes it was the same. But then joining real estate, I did learn, yeah, no, I'm a perfectionist. And
You learned
it
yourself.
brought, oh yeah, I learned a lot about myself that first year of being licensed. And I am a perfectionist, and that is what gave me so much trouble getting started. On our calls, we talk about ready to get started.
Hmm.
And that's what I kept doing. I was like, well, I don't want to door knock because I don't have my listing presentation yet. What if I door knock and then they want me to come in and present something or talk about it and I'll have nothing. So let me work on my listing presentation. But then
Mm.
in doing so, I was like, wait, in order to what comes after the listing presentation is having the listing paperwork. Let me learn my paperwork first before I do my listing presentation. And I was all over the place.
Wow. Okay. So after you start knocking doors, doing calls,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there a little more on social media, I would see like the little funny videos popping
Yeah.
up, and I'm like, oh, look at her. She's still doing it. Okay. So after
Yeah.
you got some experience, how did that affect how you dealt with other agents as far as developing other agents?
I would like to say that I ended up having a lot more compassion and respect for them as well.
Mm.
Like I knew what it was like for them because I would hear the stories.
Yeah.
But it really gave me that real perspective of
Hands-on
being like boots
perspective.
on the ground. Yeah.
You got more
And
empathy for the
yes,
struggle.
more empathy. Yes, 100%. I was like, dang it. It really is just as hard as it looks. Like, okay, that's fine. Reality check for me. But I also think it just makes me better suited to guide and mentor people because I am boots on the ground. I am active
Right.
in the market right now.
Okay. That's good. That's good because I know you're tough. You're a tough one. You're straight to the point. You're
Yeah.
your business, which is good. But it's good that you
Yeah.
got that hands-on experience that kind of gave you that other side of the coin. Like, oh, like there's nerves behind making the phone calls. There's nerves behind knocking on this door and talking to a random
Yeah.
person, right?
There would be times on my coaching calls with agents where I'm like, why didn't you do your lead gen? Why didn't you just do an hour? I don't understand why that's so difficult. Like I wasn't bullying them about it, but I was giving them some tough love. And then now I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do my lead gen all week. What is my problem? So I definitely have more empathy overall.
So it sounds like before it was just you understood the logic, right? You understood this is what happens. This is what you need to do to succeed. Why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
But
And
then you
then now
added the
I'm like,
emotional aspect to it.
application.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, in theory, this is what should be working and you should be doing it this way. Why aren't you?
Yeah.
And now that I'm actually doing it, I find myself like, well, maybe we should do it this way. I'm like, wait, stop. What am I doing? Go back to my coaching days. What would I tell myself? Because that's what I need to do.
Okay. All right. So let's bring it over to the real estate arena. So let's say you have a listing. What are some of the
Mhm.
things that you do to market and promote a property, for example?
I am heavy on the door knocking, the open house, and heavy on the social media. I quite honestly feel like in today's age, excuse me, with technology, because the MLS syndicates to so many other websites,
Mm-hmm.
once it's in the MLS, it's going to be pushed out to thousands of websites. I mean, every single agent's personal website,
Mm-hmm.
the big ones like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, it's obviously going there. It shows up on Google when at that point as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more so getting in front of the local sphere, the people that are also in that community. Maybe they might have a friend or a family member that wants to move closer to them,
Mm.
things along that nature.
Okay, that's interesting. So, do you have that kind of conversation with the seller to kind of get those conversations started, or do you
I
kind of
do.
just go around the neighborhood?
No, I do. I let them know that this is what I intend on doing. And it's funny because some of them will be like, well, we can tell you don't knock on that neighbor's door because they're an a-hole. You can knock to that one, but be prepared. She'll pull you in and feed you cookies and talk to you for 2 hours. So it's pretty interesting. No one has ever said like, oh, please don't door knock or anything like that. Because I also let them know the reasons why and like the logic behind it. And it all makes sense.
Hmm. So, one of the questions, and this is kind of like segueing, right? One of the questions
Mhm.
we tend to get as agents is, how's the market? So,
Yeah.
my question to you is like, how do you stay up to date on like market trends and things of that sort, market conditions?
Yeah, I would like to say that in some ways it's easier for me because I do still have like that sponge mentality.
Hmm.
I love hearing things and keeping up to date, and I have amazing vendor partners, such as like my lenders. They make sure to keep me updated with what's going on with interest rates. I stay very in touch with some training, and it does again help that I am active
Hmm.
in the market. So when a buyer is coming to me and asking what are the conditions like, I'm able to tell them what it's like for buyers similar to them and also sellers in their price point because I actively work both sides.
Hmm. So it sounds like you stay plugged in like continuously, and that kind of keeps you up to date on the market and how things are going.
Yes, there is not a single day that I don't have at least a dozen real estate conversations amongst agents, vendors, clients. I stay very in tune with it. And I think that's probably the best way to stay not necessarily ahead of the market,
Hmm.
but to stay in tune with the
Right.
market so that when the market makes its subtle shifts, because we of course can have big, huge, sudden shifts, but most of the time there are breadcrumbs that I've seen that tell us why that the market is either slowed down or sped up. Maybe it might be because of the season, or
Hmm.
maybe it's because in our area, maybe a carrier just came in. A carrier brings in thousands of people.
Hmm.
So if a carrier has a change of port from, let's say, California, to Virginia or from Georgia or Florida to Virginia, we're going to get an influx of people. So it's not, for me, it's also just staying in touch with the community and the areas that you serve, because it could also be not just for the Navy, but think about Amazon. Amazon throws up headquarters like it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. For
And
sure.
that brings a huge population boost to that area.
Yeah.
So also staying ahead of that, or staying in touch with what's happening around you in that area helps stay in touch with the market on a real estate perspective.
Okay. So speaking of the market, like we know that it's not always rainbows and sunshine, right? So sometimes
Yeah.
there is bad news to communicate with a buyer or a seller. How do you navigate those tough conversations?
Oh, full transparency with
Hmm.
them every time. I also don't like to come to my clients with just problems.
Hmm.
I will tell them this is the situation that we are in so that they don't feel like they're in it alone.
Alone.
And
Yeah.
then I also let them know these are some solutions that we could take, or here are some avenues and some things that we could try to do to better put us in a better position or something along those lines.
Hmm.
But to my most honest response is I'm blunt about it.
Yeah.
I am very blunt, and I'll say, "Hey, do you have a second?" And they'll say, "Yes, what's up?" And I'll say, "Not so great news. This is what's happening. I don't want you to worry because we can do A, B, or C. Which would you like to do? A gives us these results, B gives us these, C could do this.
So
Do
it
you want
sounds
some
like
time to consider it?" Yeah.
you're fully transparent with your clients and that you like to put all of the options on the table so that they can have an informed decision.
Yes, because the way I see it, I am just their tour guide in this crazy jungle
Hmm.
safari of real estate,
Yeah.
but the destination is ultimately their choice.
Mm.
I'm going to tell them, like, hey, look over there because this is coming up soon, or please be careful because this might happen. Like, that is my job, to protect my client
Hmm.
on the buy or sell side. And so it doesn't matter to me if they're a first time home buyer or a seller or experienced.
Hmm.
There's always full transparency. I never assume that they know what their options are.
Mm. So you also want them to feel like they have autonomy, right? You want them to feel like it's them making the decision. Like you lay it
Yeah,
out for them and it's like, okay, here's option one, here's option two, and here's option three. You
yeah,
decide. You have all the information in front of you, right?
exactly. Yeah. And if they will ask me, and they can ask me more detailed questions like, well,
Mhm.
what if we choose this? Can we also change our mind and go with this? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm open to other creative strategies, but usually I will present the most primary ones, or sometimes, unfortunately, if we only have one option, then hey, this is our only option and we need to move forward this way. Would you still like to proceed?
Okay. All right, Tiffany. Well, we're gonna go a little bit deeper. All right.
Okay.
I want to
Woo.
dig a little deeper because we know that, like I mentioned before, it's not always up, right? Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes things happen. I want to know what have you done in the past where you've had to handle a very difficult situation. I want an example, right? Give an example of a difficult situation that you've had in the past that you worked with a solution with the client and y'all talked through it and came to a solution that worked for everyone.
Um, I'm not, as an agent, I am not proud of this example.
Hmm.
As a human being and as a family member, I stand by my decision.
Mm.
And with that caveat, I'll explain. I was working with a family member and they were purchasing a home. And it's not necessarily that like I did anything wrong or anything like that. It was just a matter of the situation that I did have to come up with some creative solutions.
Hmm.
But we went in on a property at a certain price point and the appraisal came in low.
Mm.
And so part of our offer that was accepted is that we requested, I think it was 2 or 3% seller concessions, which they had agreed to because we had gone in full price. on their offer or on their property on the listing. And when the appraisal came back, the seller chose to go ahead and drop the price, but then they also removed that seller concessions, that the help, the
Okay.
financial assistance that they
Yeah.
were providing to my buyers. And when that was removed, my buyers could no longer afford the property.
Ah, man.
It really,
Yikes.
really sucked. In order to make it work, my lender is amazing. And she was able to work some magic and cut some of the lending costs down
Mm-hmm.
for them. So that saved them some money. And the part that I'm not proud of as an agent is that I also took part of my commission and gave it towards their closing costs.
Whew. Whew.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm like, as an agent, I'm not going to say I'm proud of it. I know we get a lot of flack
Mm-hmm.
in our industry for doing so. But at the same point, the deal was literally on the line. We were going to
Yeah.
have to walk away.
Yeah.
And that was also a family member. And that one was challenging just because I am a very kind of like a Jekyll Hyde when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to business in a good way,
Yeah.
where if I do have a prior or previous relationship with you, I am able to separate business from personal.
Mm-hmm.
And this one
It was a
was
little
very
harder.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, very difficult to separate those two lines. So I did, and they were able to move in.
Okay. So
Everything's fine after.
with all that being said, what types of steps are you going to take in the future if, let's say, you do have a situation where you're representing
Yeah.
another family member and another difficult situation comes up? How do you think you'll be able to separate the personal feelings and business so that, everyone walks away happy, and there's no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How do you think you'll
Yeah.
be able to
For
navigate that in
me,
the
I feel
future?
like what I would do, I did learn from that, is when I see a listing and I feel as though it might be overpriced based off of my comps, because I did see a little bit of a disparity.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't expect the appraiser to come like
Like
hard line right
the
here.
hammer down.
No, yeah, I just didn't expect that. But what was funny is that when I spoke to the listing agent, she was about it. She was like, "Ugh, I was kind of expecting it," and I was like, "Oh, you didn't, you just let us get that offer." And oh, what? And so from that, I would better set myself up by just making sure that I do the comps that truly support it, and make sure that in the event that our offer does include something like the seller's assistance,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel as it's going to be appraisal, I'm going to let my clients know, in the event the appraisal comes in low, know that the seller may remove that concession. With
Mm.
that being said, do you still want to put this offer in? Because again, we wouldn't want to be in the same situation again where we would have to walk away.
Yeah. Tough conversations.
Tough
Tough
conversations
conversations.
for sure.
So,
Yeah,
but it's
I would
good that
just do that.
you are
I would just set
direct
the
and honest.
expectation up better next time.
Right.
Now that I have had that experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I would throw out as a cautionary, just so you're aware,
Yeah.
this may happen. And if it does, these are the options and the routes that we could take.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to lead them into a situation blindly and then be like, "Tiffany, this happened to you before. Why didn't you tell us it could happen?" Because then I would feel horrible.
Mm-hmm. And those type of things, they come with experience, right? Like, now that you know that is something that could happen, now you can better inform your clients, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and since you mentioned family, you dealing with family, let's go into that kind of discussion about family, because I know
Okay.
that you're married with children, and a lot of
Yes.
people are wondering, how do I navigate a career in real estate and also maintain family balance? And I'm working on that, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a
help me,
challenge. It
Tiffany.
is.
Help
Yeah,
me.
it's one of the biggest challenges. And I will say you need to be constantly conscious of it,
Hmm.
even if it's subconscious. And it really boils down to the schedule, because that is something that is one of the most challenging. And just having a great support system who understands, because our schedule and availability could also fluctuate with the season.
Mm-hmm.
For some agents in some markets, the winter, fall, like late fall, winter season
Mm-hmm.
is the slowest. Not a lot of buyers want to go out in the snow, like especially if you're up in the Chicago area where you deal with a constant 2 to 3 feet of snow
Yeah.
sometimes. How many buyers really want to go trudging out in that to go look at 6 homes,
Right.
freezing cold?
Right.
But having that, again, transparency, communication with your family when your schedule is getting hectic. And for me, it's helpful to really nail down on my calendar and make sure that I am putting down my date nights.
Mm.
At first, it seemed like a silly concept, like whatever, it's a date night. I love my husband. We will, of course, make time for a date night.
Right.
But then showings pop up, trainings, kids stuff pop up so easily. So usually, as soon as I hear of something family is priority. That is automatically getting to added to my calendar. Things will get bumped
Yeah.
for the family and it's locked in. And then I like fill in work around that. There's a lot of times where I take my kids with me to certain things. And I'm open with some of my clients when those situations arise. If they're like, hey, Tiffany, we want to go see this home at 4:30 today. Can we do it? I'll of course schedule it and say, absolutely, let's go see it at 4:30. Just so you know, my tiny assistant or one of my teenagers will be joining me. They're super nice and I promise they don't bite. Like I joke it off and everything, but my children are also very well behaved. And so I can take them into showings and into inspections and things of that nature because they kind of like it. And I like that although I might be working, I still get to see them. And there's not a lot of industries where we do get to take our kids with us.
That's true.
So in instances where it is safe and not inappropriate, I'm going to offer my family to come with me if they want to. If they have nothing else going on and they want to spend time with mom because they understand mom's got to make money and I can't not do the things. So come with.
Sounds like you are unapologetic about spending time with your family. It's like, this is my family. They're here. Hi. Say hi.
Yeah, my husband has gone on showings with me all the time.
Yep.
It's a thing now. Mm-hmm. Some of my clients I'll take, like let's say Sean will go on a showing with me like the first time, and then the next round of showings they're like, where's Sean? Oh, Sean couldn't make it. I'm like, he doesn't work in real estate. He's in the Navy, right? And they ask for Clark too, my youngest. They'll ask, is Clark coming to the showing?
Yeah.
Will we see Clark at closing? Like she's gone to closings with me as well.
That's
she's
so
handed
cool.
People their closing gifts.
How old is Clark?
Clark is 6 right now. Aww. She will be 7. But I have videos going back to a couple of years ago when she was 4.
Right.
Going with me and hanging out, and the kids will go with me and distribute flyers or door knocking and things like that too.
Nice. Getting them started early. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Child labor.
Let them know. Yes. Well, I also need them to know like that iPad that mommy had to go sell a house for. I need you to know everything that mom did to sell that house. Because it wasn't just, oh, mom sold a house and made a couple grand. No, mom did a lot of work for that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that goes on in the background. And I think one of the things out there is that being a real estate agent is just glamorous because they see the super successful agents that's doing millions, you know what I mean? So they think it's just easy, right? So yeah, it's definitely challenging. And with a family, you probably have times where you're like, oh my goodness, like how do I fit everything in, right? So
there have been some difficult times with my husband and I where he's like, you work so much, or you have worked every weekend for the past 6 weekends. And when that comes up, I appreciate it because I'm like, I know working is important, but so are they. So are our weekends. So I like the dialogue as well, because then that's when I'm like, you're right. I will pull up my calendar and say, you know what, I'm putting it on right now. I'm not working this upcoming weekend at all.
That's awesome. So to me, it feels like both you and your husband are really focused on spending time with one another, spending time with the children. And whenever that gets out of balance, both of y'all are like, okay, what do we do? You know,
Yeah.
it's
And sometimes
yeah,
we can sense it too, because then we'll be super catty with each other. And then I stop and realize, and I'm like,
yeah.
it's because we literally haven't spent any time together, just me and him,
Mm,
in weeks.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of our date nights are networking date nights, but we still have a lot of fun. And we also still have our it's like our car pillow talk
Yeah,
on the way home and
yeah,
everything. So we still, even if we have to do something on our quote date night or multitask a date night,
yeah.
we still make the most of it and just make sure that we acknowledge, like, hey, I know this isn't like a romantic
Mm-hmm.
like completely cut off type of date night, but I appreciate you spending time with me. And I tell him
Facts.
all the time when he's doing showings with me, because I know he doesn't have to.
Yeah,
He very well could be at home with the kids,
yeah.
playing video games or sleeping, doing the yard, just doing anything. But instead, I'm a passenger princess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's another area of business that a lot of people want. They want to be able to have the personal life and business and not get out of whack on either one of those. And it seems like you've
Mhm.
been able to navigate that so far. So let's lead into the last little question here. And then we'll
Okay.
close out because I know you are a very busy person. You got to get back to work. I've taken up your time, and I appreciate you joining my joining my
I love the
channel.
opportunity that you even asked. I was like, oh, do I
Of
want to be
course.
interviewed? It sounds like fun, but it's YouTube. It's gonna be there forever.
Yep.
It's fine.
No, that's it's good because a few years pass by, you're gonna look back like wow, like, and I'm gonna be right there
I
interviewing you
know.
again, like, hey, let's check up. How's it been? All right, so the
Oh, I
last
would
question.
love that. Yes.
I think that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. See where both of us are in a few years, because I definitely when I was searching for a mentor and someone to join, because I knew I wanted to go with EXP, right? But I just wanted to make sure that I was joining with the right person. And when we interviewed, I could tell that you truly cared about the success of your agents, and it's not just like a numbers thing with you. You're like, okay, let's make sure that I'm setting them up for success. So,
Yeah.
speaking of success, right? How do you
Mhm.
define success in your real estate career? And can you share a specific achievement or meaningful moment that exemplifies this definition? Hopefully, I ain't throw too much at you.
Success. Um, it's unique because everyone has their own definition. Like, and I've mentioned this to you before. Even if you had come to me and said, Tiffany, all I want to do is sell 3 homes a year. That is it. I would be like, let's do it. We're going to get you that 3. That's going to be amazing. I'm not going to tell you that's a low number. Why are you doing it? Or you can't do it. Like, it's your goal.
Yeah.
So for me, success in real estate is, are you hitting your mile markers so that you can attain your goals?
Mm,
Because to me, success does not mean that you're at the finish line. That means you're done. That's
right.
completion. That's not success. Those are two different things to
Mm,
me. So
okay.
success is making progress towards your goals continually.
Hmm.
So even if it's one listing at a time, you are being successful in your goals.
Right.
If your goal is to buy a boat, then to me, every time you're able to put money into your boat fund, you are being successful by
Mm,
any means possible. And that's another thing that I like about real estate, is that you've expressed to me, hey Tip, I'm fine with cold calling. And I said, I don't cold call buyers and sellers. Oh my God. But that's your thing.
yeah.
So for your success in doing that would be different from my success in my goals
Yeah.
and everything. And so far, being able to start the team is something that I did not think I would be able to do. When I started, I had the idea, I was like, yes, I want to help agents, so I want to build a team.
Hmm.
And then again, when no one was like, sell a house or two first, Tiffany, I was like, dang, I'm not going to have a team for like 5 years because nobody wants to play with me. That's fine. Like, if that's the case, I know it and I will work towards it. And here I am, like I said, starting, and I'm halfway through in my third year and
Mm-hmm.
I have a team.
Yeah.
And that was something that I didn't realize would be one as easy as it actually turned out to be. I say easy once you do the things you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy, but it's not simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to start the team has been one of my biggest highlights, truly, so far.
That's awesome.
Having other agents not only believe in me, but
Mm-hmm.
believe in my dedication to them,
Mm-hmm.
that is what means a lot to me. So I'm like, oh, I'm successful because I haven't retired my husband yet, but I'm doing the things that are going to allow me to retire him. So I
That's,
am being successful right now.
I'm sure you appreciate all of those actions to retire him.
Right? I
That's so
hope so.
awesome. So from this conversation, what I've gathered from you and what I like about you and what we've discussed here is that you have a goal, and you've stated
Mhm.
that your progress towards that goal is what defines success for you, right? And what I've
Yeah.
noticed from you is you have a goal here, and then I'm gonna just look at my goal, right? And then you're on the way to the
Yeah.
goal, and you're like, oh, obstacle. Oh, they want me to actually sell homes to in order for them to trust me.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. Let's go and sell some homes. And
Yeah.
and what I like about that is you didn't let the obstacles stop you from continuing to go towards your goals, right? And that
Hmm.
really, to me, defines success, right? You're
Yeah.
going towards your goal, and obstacles are gonna come, right? But you were
Of
able
course.
to look those obstacles in the face, maybe
Hmm.
not immediately, right? Even
Yeah.
even with I know your mentor was telling you to do videos, right? He's like, do videos, do videos, do
Yeah.
videos. And
Yeah.
you're going to do it. Like, you've done videos before, and your videos are awesome, by the way. Like, they're funny. Those are the best kind. Being funny. Sometimes
Thank you.
I'm too serious, and I'm like, okay, let me crack a joke or two sometimes. But yeah, like, you have an obstacle, and you're willing to go and knock down those walls in order
Yeah.
to reach your goals, and that's admirable. So
Thank you.
yeah.
It's the Capricorn in me. Like you cannot tell me no. I'm also the oldest of my family, so I'm used to one leading, and I don't like being told no. I take it as a
Yeah.
challenge. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you it's possible.
Uh-oh.
So that's how I take any type of challenge in real estate.
Hmm.
And there's so many that pop up like on a daily basis. I don't think I've ever had a day go how I expected it to in real estate.
Hmm.
But it's just being able to, like you said, handle and address those obstacles and those challenges when they arise, and how you handle them, like with grace,
Yeah.
it really says a lot about your character.
It does. Even when you're talking about how you handle things with the clients, and how you're honest, straightforward, and you give them the expectation ahead of time so that they're not, railroaded by it and like
Yeah.
panic. You're like, okay, look, this is what this is what could happen, and
Yes.
and that's awesome because it puts people at ease. It helps people to
Mhm.
trust you and to know that, okay, things may not go perfectly, but I know with Tiffany, she got my back. She's gonna let me know ahead of time if anything comes up, and that's
Yep.
awesome as a realtor, especially in this industry. You know.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's crazy because when I work with people, they're like, you're nothing like the other realtors we've worked with. I'm like, what? What? Because with our group,
Yeah,
this is
it's normal.
our norm.
Yeah,
This is like base level
yeah.
for us. And so when people are floored by it, I was like, I mean, you're happy that I'm not a scumbag? I mean, I
Right.
am too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me, Tiffany. Like I said, I'm gonna let you get back to your busy schedule.
Thank
You've been
you.
amazing. And where can people find you if they are like, I'm in Virginia, I need to work with an agent, I need somebody to help me? How can they find
Um,
you?
all over. Actually, I am on Facebook,
Hmm.
Tiffany Mosby. I am on Instagram, Tiffany Mosby Realtor. I'm on TikTok, the Tiffany Mosby. And you can actually just Google Tiffany Mosby Realtor. I have a Google business page. I'll pop up.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you. Once again, Tiffany Mosby. Thank y'all for
Thank
joining us
you.
today. Thank you for joining the channel, and y'all have a good one.